Welcome to SSR Pharma Media, your trusted source for pharma knowledge. Today's series HAP Exam Edge Series MCQs for Success, Human Anatomy and Physiology. Today we are going to discuss about joints and movement. Prepare, practice, succeed. So first we will discuss about joints. So there are types of joints. There are three types: fibrous joint, cartilaginous joint, synovial joint. So structural category: fibrous joint, fibrous connective tissue, no joint cavity, no joint cavity. Functional category: synthrosis, it's immovable joints, and it's a bones joined tightly, little or no movement. Fibrous joints example: skull sutures, syndesmosis, tibia fibula. So gomphosis, tooth sockets. Cartilaginous joints, structural category: cartilage, no joint cavity. So amphiarthrosis, slightly movable. So description: bones joined by cartilage, limited movement. So example: pubic symphysis, an intervertebral disc, and costal cartilage. So synovial joint, the joint cavity with synovial fluid. Capsules and ligaments are present. So functional categories are dianthrosis, freely movable. Description: most mobile and common joint in the body. Example: knee, hip, shoulder, elbow and wrist joints. So you study this tabular column. It's a very important. There are many questions they are asking from this tabular column. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. We'll move into the question. Which of the following joint is functionally classified as synarthrosis? Option A, pubic symphysis. Option B, elbow joint. Option C, skull suture. Option D, shoulder joint. So the answer is option C, skull sutures. So the following joint is functionally classified as synarthrosis. This means immovable joint. So synarthrosis is a immovable joint. Example: sutures of the skull. Amphiarthrosis is a slightly movable joint. It's a pubic symphysis. Dianthrosis is a freely movable joint. So all synovial joint containing synovial fluid. So example: elbow and shoulder joints. If you see this is a skull joint. It's all are synarthrosis. It's a immovable joints. Next question. All synovial joints are functionally classified as option A, synarthrosis. Option B, amphiarthrosis. Option D, dianthrosis. Option C, symphysis. So the answer is option C, dianthrosis. So synovial joints are containing synovial fluids. Example: knee, shoulder and hip joint. So allow free movement, hence they are dianthrosis. So freely movements means it is called dianthrosis. Synarthrosis is a immovable. Example: sutures, skull suture. Amphiarthrosis is a slightly movable joints. Symphysis is a structural classified cartilaginous. Is a synovial. It's a cavity, joint cavity. It's containing synovial fluid. It is a synovial membrane. So which type of joint is found in vertebral disc? Option A, fibrous joint. Option B, synchondrous chondrosis, option C, symphysis, option D, synovial joint. So the answer is option C, symphysis. So intervertebral joints are cartilaginous, symphysis, allowing limited movement. So limited movement means symphysis, freely uh, immovable means suture, skull suture joints. The intervertebral discs are an example of cartilaginous joint of the symphysis type. The cartilaginous type contains symphysis, secondary cartilaginous joint. So this is a intervertebral disc joint. It is a slightly movable or limited movements will be present between the vertebral joints. Next question, which joint connects teeth with jaw bones? So example, sorry. So option A, gomphosis. Option B, syndesmosis. Option C, synchondrosis. Option D, syntosis. So answer is gomphosis. Gomphosis is a peg and socket fibrous joint. So this is a teeth. So between the teeth there are gums are there. So the connection between teeth and gums are called as gomphosis. Gomphosis. So next we will see the synovial joint. So synovial joint types are ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, condyloid joint. Say epsiloid joint is also called as condyloid joints, also called as epsiloid joints, saddle joints. It's a movement allowed. So ball and socket joints are multi-axial, flexion, extension, rotation, circumduction, abduction, adduction. So ball and socket joints are move in all directions. It's a multi-axis. So example, shoulder and hips coming under the ball and socket joints. Shoulder is the shoulder ball and socket joints, and hip is the ball and socket joint. And hinge joint is uniaxial. So flexion movement is present and extension movements is present in hinge joint. So example, elbow, knee, interphalangeal joints. So it is a hinge joint between the elbow and knee. And pivot joint, uniaxial rotation. So example, atlas axis, neck and radio-ulnar joints. Next, condyloid joint or ellipsoid joints. It is a biaxial. So it containing flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, circumduction movements. An example, wrist, metacarpal phalangeal joints. Saddle joint is a biaxial, greater freedom than condyloid joints. So example, thumb, carpo-metacarpal joints and intercarpal joints. So if you see, so saddle joint is between the fingers. So it is a saddle joint. So condyloid joints between the phalanges. And this is a abduction, adduction. So pivot joints between the atlas of the neck and radio-ulnar joints. Next, the elbow joint is an example of option A, hinge joint, option B, pivot joint, option C, condyloid joint, option D, saddle joint. So the answer is option A, hinge joint. So elbow is a uniaxial hinge joint permitting only flexion and extension. Pivot joint is atlas axis, radio-ulnar. Condyloid joint is a wrist movement. Saddle joint is a thumb and metacarpal joints. So if you see this, hinge joint is a ball and hinge joint is a uniaxial only in this area. So this involving the flexion and extension movement. The carpometacarpal joint of the thumb is classified as option A condyloid joint, option B saddle joint, option C hinge joint, option D plain joint. So the answer is option B saddle joint. The first metacarpal joint of the thumb is saddle joint. Metacarpal joint of the thumb is saddle joint. This is the metacarpal joint. It is a type of saddle joint which allow biaxial movement with a greater freedom than condyloid joint, including opposition joint, essential for the thumb functions. Next, which of the following joint is correctly paired with its classification? Option A hip and hinge joint, option B atlas axis and pivot joint, option C thumb carpometacarpal and condyloid joint, option D intertarsal joints and saddle joint. So the answer is option B atlas axis and pivot joints. So hip is a type of ball and socket joints, not hinge joint. Atlas axis C1 to cranial C1 to C2 pivot joint, so allowing rotation of the head. So rotation of the head is due to atlas axis joint. Thumb joint, it is a type of saddle joint, not condyloid joint. Intertarsal, it is a plain and gridding joints, not saddle joint. So it is atlas axis C and C1, cranial C1, C1. It is used for rotation of the neck. So you should read this tabular column. So many questions are coming from this tabular column. You read it carefully. What is the movement type? Flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, rotation, circumduction, supination, pronation, inversion, eversion, and dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, and opposition. So flexion decreasing the angle between two bones. Extension means increasing angle between two bones. Suppose our hand is there means, so if we are straightening our hand, so the flexion means decreasing angle between two bones. So if we are folding our hands, the angles get decreased. If we are straightening our hand, the angles get increased. So movement away from the middle of the body is called abduction. Movement towards the middle of the body is called adduction, and rotation is a movement in all axes. Circumference, circular movement, climbing, flexion, extension, abduction, adduction. So you read all this carefully and examples also. It will take, if I am reading means it takes more time. So you read it. We will move into the next slide. So which movement describes moving a limb away from the middle? So option A, from the above tabular column, for coming questions are, we are asking the questions from the above tabular column. Option A, adduction, option B, abduction, option C, flexion, option D, extension. So the movement describes moving a limb away from the middle. Away from the middle means it's a abduction. So away from the middle means its answer is abduction. So abduction means moving away from the middle line of the body. Adduction means so moving towards the middle of the body. Movement of the hands towards middle of the body means it is a abduction. Away from the body means it's a, so if you see that this movement of the hand away from the body is called abduction. So middle of the body is called abduction. Abduction, adduction. Next, bending the elbow involves which type of movement? Bending the elbow. So bending means towards the middle. So it is called the option A extension, option B flexion, option C rotation, option D abduction. So the answer is option B flexion. Flexion decreases angle between forearm and arm. Is the elbow joint. So it is the straightening is the extension, elbow extension. So angle get increased. So when we are folding our hands, so this angle get decreased. So it is called flexion. Next, which joint movement allows thumb to touch each other fingers? So which joint movements allow thumb to touch other fingers? So option A opposition, option B circumduction, option C supination, option D adduction. So the answer is option A opposition. So opposition is a unique due to saddle joint of the thumb. So it is saddle joint of the thumb. So which movement allow thumb to touch each finger? So thumb used to touch each finger. Thumb only will touch each finger. It is called opposition. Next, turning the palm upward, holding a holding soup in a bowl is known as. So turning the palm upward. Turning the palm. You will understand, I think so. We will see the answer. Option A pronation, option B supination, option C inversion, option D dorsiflexion. So the answer is option B supination. So if supination means the form faces upward, it's containing bowl of soup. Pronation means the form faces downwards, so we have pour the soup down. If we are holding the soup on the form, it is called supination. When we'll turn our palm towards the down, that means the soup get poured down. It is called pronation. So the palm upward means the answer is supination. So next, movement at the ankle when toes point upward is. So the option dorsiflexion, option B plantar flexion, option C inversion, option D circumduction. So the answer is option A dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion decreases angle between dorsum of the foot and leg. So this is the dorsiflexion. Next, gliding movement occurs in which of the following joint? Option A shoulder joint, option B knee joint, option C intercarpal joint, option D hip joint. So the answer is option C intercarpal joint. So plain gliding joint allow sliding and gliding movements. Example intercarpal interdorsal joints. Shoulder and hip joint, ball and socket joint, and it has multi-axle. Knee joint, it's a type of hinge joint, so it has only flexion and extension. Flexion means decreasing the angle, extension means increasing the angle between the joints. So it is the joint. You see this flexion and extension. Sorry, intercarpal is the intercarpal joints. Next, which of the following joint is multi-axle or permitting flexion, extension and abduction, adduction, rotation and circumduction? So option A elbow joint, option B shoulder joint, option C knee joint, option D radio ulnar joint. So the answer is option B shoulder joint. So shoulder and hip joints contain, it is a type of ball and socket joint. It contains synovial fluid and also it has multiple axle movement. So example flexion movement, extension movement, abduction movement, adduction movement and medial, lateral rotation and circumduction movements. So elbow joint is a type of hinge joint, only flexion and extension movement is present. Knee joint is a modified hinge joint. It's containing flexion, extension and slightly rotation movements. And radio-ulnar is a type of pivot joint. It contains rotation only, supination and pronation. See this joints. So next, which of the following joint is a ball and socket synovial joint? Option A, atlanto-occipital joint. Option B, hip joint. Option C, elbow joint. Option D, intercarpal joints. So the answer is B, hip joint. So hip joint along with the shoulder joint. It is a type of ball and socket joint. It's a multi-axial movement is present. Atlanto-occipital joint is a type of condylar joint. It contains only flexion, extension and lateral flexion movements. And the elbow joint is a type of hinge joint. It containing flexion and extension type of movements. Intercarpal joint is a type of plain and gliding joint. See this. Next, a freely movable joint is called synanthrosis, amphianthrosis, dianthrosis, fibrous joint. So answer in the comment box. If you like this video, like, share and subscribe. So all friends, you join in the WhatsApp community and you will get test series and hands-out material in a short form. You will get hands-out nice, good hands-out material. Thank you. Like, subscribe and share.